October 3rd, 1993. Mogadishu, Somalia. Super 6-4 is going down. Chief Warrant Officer Michael Durant fights the controls as an RPG shredded tail rotor spins uselessly behind him. The Black Hawk is falling straight into the most hostile neighborhood in the city. His co-pilot is already dead. Durant's got maybe 30 seconds before impact. The Black Hawk hits at 40 miles per hour. The impact shatters both of Durant's legs and cracks his vertebrae. The helicopter flips onto its side, and through the smoke he can see them coming. Hundreds of Somali militia are running toward the crash site. His crew is dead. He's alone in a crashed helicopter in a city that wants him torn apart. And for the next 11 days, the world will watch as one helicopter pilot becomes the face of America's most controversial battle since Vietnam. If you want more stories like this, real warriors, real missions, no BS, hit that subscribe button. We've got a whole vault of these. This is the story of the pilot who survived the unsurvivable and went right back to flying the same helicopters that got shot out from under him. Michael Durant was born in 1961 in Berlin, New Hampshire. He grew up in a blue-collar mill town. His father was a Korean War veteran who taught him one thing: when you commit, you finish. No excuses. Durant joined the Army in 1979, became a Black Hawk pilot, and by 1993 was a standardization instructor with the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. The Night Stalkers were the most elite helicopter unit in the military. Their motto was "Night Stalkers don't quit." In September 1993, the 160th deployed to Mogadishu. The mission was to capture warlord Mohammed Farah Aidid's lieutenants. They would fast rope in, seize the targets, and extract. They had done it 6 times already. 6 successful raids. October 3rd was supposed to be the 7th raid. At 3:32 p.m., Super 6-1 took an RPG hit and crashed. The pilot was killed on impact. The mission became a rescue. Durant circled overhead in Super 6-4, watching ground forces fight toward the crash site. RPG rounds streaked up from every rooftop. At 4:20 p.m., Super 6-4 takes an RPG hit. The tail rotor is shredded, and the Black Hawk starts spinning. Durant's co-pilot is hit in the cockpit and killed instantly. The Black Hawk impacts and flips. Durant's legs shatter and his back fractures. He is trapped in the cockpit and cannot move. His crew chiefs are firing at Somali militia already surrounding the wreck. Then 2 Delta snipers, Master Sergeant Gary Gordon and Sergeant First Class Randy Shugart, land near the crash. They had volunteered knowing it was suicide. They pulled Durant out and set up a defensive perimeter. For 20 minutes, 2 men hold off hundreds. Durant, lying on the ground with shattered legs, watches them fight. He watches Gordon take a round and keep shooting. He watches Shugart drop one attacker, then another, then another. The militia keep coming. Shugart goes down, then Gordon. Cleveland is already dead. Field is dying. Durant is handed a rifle. 1 magazine. He props himself against the helicopter and starts firing. Each recoil jolts through his broken body, but he keeps shooting because stopping means dying. He empties the magazine, reaches for another. There is not one. The militia swarm the crash site. What happens next, Durant does not talk about much. Years later, in his book In the Company of Heroes, he will describe it clinically. Stripped, beaten, dragged through the streets, hit with rifle butts, kicked in the broken legs. A rifle barrel jammed into his mouth, finger on the trigger, the metallic taste of the muzzle against his teeth. He thinks he is about to die. The trigger does not pull. Someone shouts. The crowd backs off slightly, not out of mercy, because a dead American pilot is worth nothing. A live one is a bargaining chip. They throw him in the back of a truck. They drive him through the city. Every bump sends lightning through his shattered legs. He passes in and out of consciousness. When he wakes up, he is in a building somewhere in Mogadishu. A Somali doctor is setting his legs without anesthesia. Durant bites through his lip to keep from screaming. He will not give them that. For 11 days, he is held captive, moved from building to building, interrogated, filmed. The footage is broadcast worldwide. Durant, face swollen, eyes blackened, answers questions in a monotone voice, giving name, rank, serial number. The world watches. CNN plays it on loop. The image of Durant's battered face becomes the symbol of the Battle of Mogadishu. Back home, his wife Laurie watches the footage. She is 8 months pregnant with their first child. She sees her husband, broken and captive, and has no idea if he is coming home. Durant does not know either. But he knows one thing. The Night Stalkers are coming for him. They do not leave people behind. Ever. Before we continue, quick thing. If you are not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This channel covers the most insane combat stories that actually happened. Click subscribe. You will not regret it. October 6th, 3 days into his captivity, Durant is moved again. This time to a building controlled by a different faction of Aidid's militia. The new guards are slightly less hostile. One brings him water. Another adjusts his splinted legs. Durant realizes something. He is more valuable alive than dead. As long as he is valuable, he has leverage. He starts talking to his captors, not begging, not pleading, just talking about his family, about their families, about how soldiers on both sides are just following orders. It is not friendship. It is survival psychology. Make yourself human. Make it harder for them to kill you. It works. Barely. October 14th, 1993. 11 days after the crash, Red Cross negotiators secure Durant's release. He is driven to the airport, transferred to American custody, and immediately medevaced to a field hospital in Germany. The doctors are stunned he is alive. He has compound fractures in both legs, fractured vertebrae, a bullet wound to his shoulder, shrapnel wounds, severe dehydration, and infection setting in. The Battle of Mogadishu killed 18 Americans and wounded 73 more. Somali casualties were estimated between 300 and 500 dead. It was the deadliest firefight involving American forces since Vietnam. The political fallout was immediate. President Clinton withdrew all American forces from Somalia within 6 months. The mission was declared a failure. The images of dead American soldiers being dragged through Mogadishu streets and of Durant's battered face on television turned public opinion decisively against intervention. But on the ground, among the soldiers who fought that day, the battle was seen differently. Task Force Ranger completed its mission. They captured 24 of Aidid's lieutenants. They fought outnumbered, surrounded, and still broke out. They did not leave anyone behind. And Durant, the pilot everyone thought was dead, came home. He came home. Recovery took a year, multiple surgeries, months of physical therapy, learning to walk again. The legs healed, but the damage was permanent. Metal rods, screws, chronic pain. Recovery was brutal. The Army offered him a medical retirement, full benefits, and an honorable discharge. Medical retirement was on the table. Durant declined. He wanted to fly. The flight surgeons said no. His injuries were too severe. He could not pass the physical. Durant appealed, argued, pushed. He rehabbed harder. He proved he could handle the controls. He proved he could pass the physical standards. He proved them wrong. In 1996, 3 years after being shot down, Michael Durant returned to flight status with the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. He returned to the unit. He went back to flying Black Hawks. It was the same model helicopter that had crashed beneath him in Mogadishu. The same aircraft. Why? Why go back to the thing that nearly killed you? Durant's answer was simple. He said, "I am a night stalker." That is what we do. Night Stalker was his identity, but there is more to it than that. Durant understood something about trauma that most people miss. You do not heal by running away from it. You heal by facing it, by proving to yourself that the thing that broke you does not own you. Every time Durant climbed into a Black Hawk cockpit, he was making a choice. Fear does not win. The crash does not define him. He is a pilot. Pilots fly. He deployed again. Iraq, 2003. Afghanistan, 2006. Back into combat. Back into hot zones. Back to flying missions where getting shot at was part of the job. He retired from the Army in 2001 after 20 years of service, but could not stay away. He returned as a civilian contractor, flying support missions in Iraq and Afghanistan, training the next generation of Night Stalker pilots, teaching them the same thing he had learned in Mogadishu. When everything goes wrong, you do not quit. You keep flying. You get your people out. In 2009, Durant left contracting and focused on something new. He became an advocate for veterans, particularly those struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic injuries. He spoke openly about his own experiences, the nightmares, the survivor's guilt, the difficulty of coming home. He talked about the 5 men who died defending him, Gary Gordon and Randy Shugart, who gave their lives to protect a downed pilot, Tommy Field and Bill Cleveland, his crew chiefs who fought to the end, Raymond Frank, his co-pilot. Their sacrifice was total. Durant never forgot them. He never stopped honoring their honor. In 1999, Gordon and Shugart were posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for their actions at the Super 6-4 crash site. Durant attended the ceremony. He stood in front of their families and told them what their sons and their husbands had done, how they had fought, how they had saved his life. He carries that weight every day. The Battle of Mogadishu was immortalized in the book Black Hawk Down by Mark Bowden. It was later adapted into the 2001 film, directed by Ridley Scott. Durant was portrayed by actor Ron Eldard. The film showed the crash, the firefight, and the captivity, but it could not show what came after. The years of recovery, the decision to fly again, the choice to go back to war. That is the part most people do not understand. Durant did not just survive Mogadishu. He went back, again and again. Because being a Night Stalker was not just a job, it was an identity. Today, Durant runs Pinnacle Solutions, an aerospace and defense company. He still flies helicopters, still teaches, still works with veterans trying to find their way after combat. He walks with a limp, the legs never fully healed. The pain is constant, but he walks. And when people ask him about Mogadishu, about those 11 days in captivity, about how he survived, Durant's answer is always the same. His words were simple. I had help. 5 men gave everything so I could come home. I owe it to them to live a life worth saving. Michael Durant received the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Bronze Star, and the Purple Heart for his actions in Mogadishu. He was inducted into the Army Aviation Hall of Fame in 2011. He has written 2 books about his experiences and dedicated his life to honoring the men who did not make it home. But his real legacy is not the medals or the books or the speeches. It is this. When Super 6-4 went down, Durant had every reason to give up. Legs shattered, crew dead, surrounded by hostile forces, captured, beaten, held for 11 days not knowing if he would ever see home again.